Hey guys, this is SolidWorks Group. Today is day 3 of SolidWorks tutorial for absolute beginner. Today we're gonna go through the patterns. So we have a couple of different types of patterns we can go through. And next, we're gonna have a look at the meter. So those pattern and meter features are one of the most powerful tool when it comes to designing a complex shape by saving a lot of time by using these features. So just keep sticking to this video and it's gonna be definitely worthwhile. Just watch this video and then just keep practicing on your own. So let's dive into it. Alright, so okay, once you open up the SolidWorks window and then open a new part, until here I believe actually you know how to do it. And we're gonna create the smart dimension as 2" on the right, and then I'm just gonna put a relation which is the equal. So this is the day 1 tutorial. We just go through the smart dimension and then how to put the relation. So if you're not very familiar with it, and then just go back to the day 1 video, and then yeah, I actually just go through like pretty much detail. Alright, so and then we're gonna go to the feature and then go to the extrude both and base, and then we're gonna create a basically the 2" kind of mid plane, and then yeah, it's gonna look like this. The first feature that I want to have a look at together is basically meter. What meter does is just like whenever you have a feature or whenever you have a body, so that's gonna be meter based on specific kind of plane. So I'm just gonna show you what it is. So on this front face, I want to create some type of like kind of hollow over here. For example, I'm gonna create a circle and then put the midpoint, and then I'm gonna put the smart dimension for this circle as 1". So basically what I want is I want to actually just extrude cut all the way back. So how that's gonna look like is I'm just gonna create a feature, extrude cut, and then we run. There's a couple of ways we can do, but for this time I'm just gonna apply up to next. Okay, hit OK, and then as you can see, oh, this one is just making a hole. I know this is some type of random shape, but just to show you actually how the meter feature works. And then so basically what I want is I want it to be on the other side as well, this extrude cut to be having the same feature. The other way you can do is basically just creating one more sketch one more time, or just go back to the the sketch and then just create another circle basically, and then you can just click this one and then click this one and then just make equal and then just like hit OK, and then that's gonna do the same thing. But sometimes actually it could be really complex, so you don't want to do the same kind of creating a sketch process one more time on the other side, right? So I'm gonna hit Ctrl Z to just undo it, hit OK. So for this time I'm just gonna apply meter feature. So we have to know which plane it is. So by having a look at just front plane is not the one that we want to use, top plane is not the one, but right plane is the one that we're gonna just like make a meter of this feature against. Okay, so let's go to the top feature kind of menus, and then there is a meter feature right beside the shell feature. Let's just try hit. So we have to select the meter face plane, so which is what we just had a look, right plane over here, and then secondary meter face and plane. We are not gonna have a secondary meter. So what secondary meter face and plane is basically, sometimes we only want to just like meter against only one plane, but sometimes we want to have a kind of the like not the double kind of meter, but it's just like like 4 times a meter. So it could be also meter to right plane, and also if you apply just the top plane, and then you can just like meter two different kind of like way at the same time. Yeah, I'm just gonna show you in the future video, but for this time actually let's just have a look at some kind of simple kind of just like one axis or just like one plane against kind of meter. That's gonna be mostly used for the CSWA case. We are not gonna use any kind of secondary meter feature for the CSWA. So for now, let's just focus on the just 1 meter face. And then we have to select the either feature to meter or just face to meter or just bodies to meter. So what this is, just we have to select the feature or just face or bodies, okay? But for our case, we're gonna select the feature, which is cut extrude one feature. Okay, just one more time. Whenever you don't see any type of feature tree, like over here, it's unselectable because there's no feature. Then you have to have focus over here. There is a kind of like the right direction arrow. If you click it, the feature tree is going to be created. Okay, and then you can just select the cut extrude one, and then it's gonna like show the preview. Okay, and then you can just hit OK, and then that's gonna do the same thing. Okay, that's perfect. And then the other thing I want to have a look at it is, okay, let's just delete these features. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna edit, and then I'm gonna just delete these relations. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete this point as well, and then just move it a little bit to the left, and then I'm gonna hit this dimension as 1 inch. Okay, I'm gonna hit the 1.5 inch, and what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna hit this relation as just 1 inch as well, so we can just fully define and then edit sketch, and then it's gonna create a the square feature on the left side. So what we want is, for this time, instead of actually using feature, I want to try using the meter, but I'm gonna select the same right plane, but instead of using the feature, we're gonna go to the bodies to meter. This is another most commonly used feature, so I'm gonna select this body and then hit OK. And then what that's gonna do is it's just showing fair to merge the newly generated body with the workpiece. That is just because actually if you go here and then there's a drop down menu and then there is a merge solids. So what that means is we're gonna create a the copy and paste just meter feature, so there will be a 2 feature, but we select a merge solids, so it's gonna deem as kind of merging together. So it's gonna be resulting in just only one connected feature, but there is no connection between the first feature and the second feature, so that's why causing this error. So in order for us to only have 2 different solid bodies not merging, is you can just uncheck it and then hit OK, and that's gonna create 2 different bodies. So if you go to the feature tree and then just like open up the selection, and then there's a post extrude one, and then there's a meter tree. There's 2 different bodies kind of features created. Okay, that's just one other way you can just do. And then yeah, so meter is actually just, this one is pretty much everything, to be honest. I mean, there's a face to meter, but like face to meter is just basically selecting a face to just kind of meter against, so it's nothing very special. But like feature and the bodies, which body or which feature or just which meter against, those are definitely the most commonly used. And then I never even use just quite often for those face to meters, so yeah, just don't worry too much about it. And then other than the merge solid and the what's knit surfaces, knit surface is just more of a like kind of like surface version of the merge solid, so it's just kind of like knitting together. So like that's just like one another feature for the surfacing cases. And then propagate visual property is just basically just like populating some kind of visual properties, just kind of selected option. If you unchecked it, that's gonna be sometimes just resulting in the same result, but we normally actually just check to show the optimum kind of the visual kind of shape of it. Okay, all right, So then the next feature we're gonna have a look at it is basically the patterns. So there's so many different types of patterns. So like meters just belong to the patterns, but one very common feature is linear pattern, and there's a circular pattern. It really depends on what kind of industry you're in. And then there's a curve-driven pattern, and then there's a sketch-driven pattern, and then table-driven pattern, and then there's a field pattern, and there's a variable pattern. But for our focus, basically our CSWA, which is a certified SolidWorks Association, the certification. I definitely remember, and then when I had a look at the criteria, actually we normally need a linear pattern, the circular pattern, and meter pattern. Yeah, other than that, actually those are definitely more advanced features. So when it comes to just having a look at some more advanced certification programs such as the professional exam, then I'm just gonna go through more detail. But it's always good to just go step by step rather than just like running everything all in once and then forgetting in your brain. That's gonna be definitely wasteful. So that is the reason actually I want to focus on some basic features which is gonna be used for our certification exam case. Okay, so the first feature we're gonna have a look at it together is just a linear pattern. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the sketch, edit sketch here, and then I'm gonna delete this relation. And then just one case that we can use just this point to select this kind of orange dot button, and then you can just move around, or you can just also just like drag and drop at the center point, but it's just showing some kind of the like what's called the but this one is causing some kind of over-defined error. So what you can do is you can delete this one, because with this one and this center point is just causing some kind of over-defined issue. So that's why this one has been reserved right now after deleting the 1 inch distance, and then hit OK. And then what we're gonna do is basically I want to create a sketch on this front face, and then I'm gonna create a circle which is just 0.5 inch. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit the smart dimension, hit this one. And one another tip is if you want to locate this hole from the center point, sometimes you can just select this the circular kind of line or just circular area, and then you can just hit the left word. Okay, so one other thing I want to actually let you know is you can just like select this center point to the distance of the left word. That's just one way. However, sometimes it could be even easier actually selecting this circular area and then just select this one. Also still gonna select the center point, so whichever you prefer. But there will be a case that actually you have to select this kind of tangent line like closest to the left word. Sometimes there's a case happen. The way you can do is you can just select the left line, and then instead of clicking this line like circular line, you have to press shift button. Okay, press shift and then hit this line, and then what that's gonna do is basically it's gonna create a kind of dimension that closest to the left of the circular section. So that's the way you can do. So I'm gonna apply 0.25, and then I'm gonna do the same thing for this the bottom to the close to the bottom side. So I'm gonna hit this the bottom line, and then hit shift again, hit this circle, and then put the dimension outside the box so it could be easily readable. Alright, so this one is fully defined, it's good to go. And then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go to the feature and then hit extrude cut. Okay, I'm just gonna hit extrude cut for just all true, or just up to next, but up to next is just pre-selected, so it's good. I'm gonna hit OK. Okay, so as you can see, there's a one hole, fully kind of go through, fully extruded, just like feature has been created. So this is a time that I want to create just more holes, kind of in a regular pattern. this is the time that we can use the linear pattern basically. So it's gonna ask you to first select the direction, so you can select this kind of line, or there's a lot of actual ways you can just select the direction. By the way, you can either select face, or just select the line, or just even actually select the axis or construction line, whichever actually works pretty much well. Okay, but for our case, we're gonna select this line, and then it's just showing some type of like kind of gray arrow, just directions. So you can just select. I just want to apply every 1 inch. I want to create some more kind of the same feature, and then I'm gonna hit 3 times, or just 2 times, only 2, and then just to the other direction. So what I'm gonna do is just hit reverse direction, so it's just like applying just more feature to the right instead of actually to the left, since there's not a lot of space. And then if you haven't looked at the direction 2, okay, I'm gonna go through fit direction 2 afterwards, but I'm gonna hit this one and then open up the feature tree, hit this extrude cut. So as you can see, there's one more feature has been created, right? But okay, I want to create one more feature on the right side, but also at the same time I want to hit like kind of same distance as the top and also the diagonal. So it's gonna be like 4 different kind of features created by using this one. I mean, you can actually use meter if you have a specific axis, but there's another way is you can hit the direction 2, hit this line, and then reverse direction, and then 1 inch, and then 2 times. Then it's gonna create a good, the exactly same feature, but just like exactly same kind of distance for the right and even for the top, and also even for the diagonal feature, which is just a kind of pattern from this, the left bottom kind of feature. So if you're thinking of actually, this is not only for the like 2 kind of multiple, but if this is almost like a 16 or just even more actually different features that needs to be regularly kind of like distance from the the origin point, and how powerful it is just unimaginable. So that's why I keep mentioning the actual linear pattern, and the other features such as the meter is super powerful. So instead of actually just like creating like redundant like sketches, by using this method, it's gonna saving ton of time of your kind of designing process. So yeah, so this is good to know. All right, so the next feature we want to have a look at is just a little bit less commonly used for sheet metal industry, but circular pattern basically. So what circular pattern is, I'm just gonna delete this feature and sketch, and then I'm gonna actually just click this sketch to make the size a little bit bigger by 10 inch. Okay, the reason behind it is just want to make it bigger so we can see a little bit better for some kind of circular features. So what I'm gonna do is select the front face, and then I'm gonna create a circle again, but at the top. All right, so I'm gonna hit OK, smart dimension, and then apply the point. Let's just hit 1 inch. Okay, and then just put some distance from the center origin point to the whole center point is just 3.5. Okay, this is not too bad. And then the reason actually this is still not fully defined is just like this is not it doesn't really have a good relation, or just like vertical or horizontal. I have to just put this relation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this center point of the circle, and then click this origin point, and then just apply the make vertical relation. It's fully defined since actually everything is black. Okay, and now I'm gonna go to feature, extrude cut, and then what I'm gonna do is up to next is good. All right, so as you can see, there's another feature that has been created, but for this time what we want to do is basically we have to just create an axis. What axis is, if you go to the top, there's some type of like kind of shortcut button that has been created, but there is a hide all types and then hide show items, like a down arrow. If you hit here, and then there is a view axis and view temporary axis. I just want you to click activate the view axis. Okay, so we can see actually what kind of axis we created. So this time actually we are gonna create an axis. So how we're gonna create an axis is you have to make sure have two different planes that kind of like interfere together. So that's interfere lines gonna be actually just like created as axis. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is if you go to the reference geometry from the feature, and then there's the axis over here, right? Let's hit OK. And then there's several ways you can create axis, but for our best practice and then the most commonly used feature is two planes. So we have to find out actually two planes that interfere, which could be just like creating an axis just through Z direction. So you can just try select this front plane. No, actually this is not the one that we want to create axis. We want to create top and right planes, so which interfere. This line is gonna be the axis that I want to create. So we can actually just create a circular feature, circular feature or circular patterns, against this center axis. Okay, so I'm gonna hit OK. Again, actually, if you want to create an axis, go to the reference geometry, and then there's a drop down. There's an axis. Okay. And then once you create the axis, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the circular pattern, and then there's a direction 1 that we can select first, since we already create a good kind of axis point. And then you can go to the feature face, and then there's a direction 2, but like for this time actually let's just ignore the direction 2. Okay, and then for the feature, we can select this feature, and then we can just manipulate this one by 360. I just want to rotate all the way, and then how many features? So I just want this circular feature on the top, left, bottom, right side. Okay, so then we can just select basically 360 one more time. I don't know actually what happened, but apply. Okay, so the reason actually this is just like causing actually just like this type of shape, even though I tried to type 360, is there's an equal spacing and instant spacing. Okay, so if you hit instant equal spacing, it's gonna be turning into 360 degree, but instant spacing is different feature for from equal spacing. Basically, equal spacing is just how many features in 360 degree you can just manipulate, but instant spacing is just like only for those like certain portion of the degree that you want to create how many features. So for our case, we're gonna apply the equal spacing and then hit 4 times, and then that's gonna show some kind of like a menu. You can also manipulate, kind of doing the same thing over here, but like you can just do more efficiently right beside the kind of preview view. But I think this is just good enough. Okay, hit OK, and then that's exactly what we want. Okay, and again, the other thing that we want to try is just like we want to create axis against just creating multiple bodies. So what we can do is, yeah, we're gonna do pretty much similar thing, but for this time I'm just gonna delete those things and then just do it a little bit faster this time. Okay, and then hit the sketch, and then I'm gonna actually just go to the sketch, and then what I'm gonna do is basically deleting those two relation. Yeah, I'm gonna delete those two relations so we can just move it around. Alright, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit this point, hit the center point, smart dimension, and then I'm gonna hit the 10-inch distance from the center point, and then still it's not actually fully defined just because actually there's no relation to the center point versus this origin point. So I'm gonna hit horizontal. That looks good. And then what I'm gonna do is again the same thing. Right now actually this plane is still interfering, because if you just like hit this Toscana border button, you can actually just manipulate. And then you can also just move it around those top planes so you can easy to look. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to reference geometry, axis to plane, go expand the feature, top and right plane, and then still the same axis created. But for this time, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to circular pattern, select this axis, and then I'm gonna create like this feature on the bottom side, right side, and top side. In select your feature, we're gonna go to the bodies and then go select this body, try hit OK. Alright, so you know, pretty much actually just like, yeah, exactly what we want. Basically, by using only one feature, actually you don't have to just like, you know, creating multiple kind of feature altogether. So you know actually how powerful like it is just by using this method, but just like until you get used to it, you have to just practice, and then how this each feature actually just function together, you have to fully understand it. Otherwise actually it's gonna having hard time just not using this specific method, and then just keep actually just doing some kind of manual way. I mean, there's no bad thing about like manual way, but like if you imagine actually just being more efficient by using more different kind of methods, then there's more options you can select from. So that's why I keep trying to emphasize, oh, those things are definitely significant in our, you know, SolidWorks associated exam. And not only that, to be honest, like certification is just only, you know, for your kind of achievement and also just proving how efficient you are, but just, you know, better goal for any kind of designer or any kind of SolidWorks user should be what kind of ability you have, like, you know, what kind of actually capability you have. So like, and also the capacity of like, you know, those SolidWorks different features is just like significant. That actually, you know, people are gonna be definitely asking you for a lot of advices of, you know, so many different types of features, and then how fast you can design, and then those kind of tips all from your mind. So by practicing those, you know, always practicing makes you perfect. So just keep trying all those features that I actually went through today, and then just like, you know, designing one kind of, you know, pattern feature, and then just a little bit carefully having a look at some, you know, any kind of product around you. And then if you ever see some type of like regular patterns from the features, then you can try designing in your kind of SolidWorks. That's gonna be definitely, you know, comes to you as a great asset for your running curve. So just keep trying. All right, so that's it for today. And then for the feature video, we're gonna go through more other, you know, kind of features, and I hope you guys have a good day. Thanks.